Homemade turkey a la king like this, perched on top of grandma's dumplings, classic old style 19th century dumplings, flour and egg. I put a little chive and a little bit of dill into mine. So the first thing that we have to do is get all our vegetables chopped, because once we're done with chopping all our vegetables, this thing tends to move pretty quickly. And I like to put everything together that's gonna go into my flour and butter mixture once that's foaming on the stove. So I've got some black olives. I'm gonna add some beautiful thyme. This is dried thyme. And that's really the only dried herb that's gonna go into this dish. Next thing, we wanna start cutting veg. Start with our pepper. And with our pepper, as with all of our other firm fleshed vegetables, I want everything cut the same size, nice dice. So I've got 2 purple carrots with gold cores. I've got 2 beautiful orange carrots, all from our farmer's market. And I'm just gonna cut these on an angle, about 1/8 of an inch thick. Celery. Cut each rib into 3 or 4 long strips, then come back against it the other way and make some lovely dice. Same thing with our onion. Two cloves of garlic, or in my case, 1 big, beautiful clove of garlic. This garlic clove is just stunning. And all I want to do is just slice that as thin as I can. Now, I had a couple peppers in the garden that I don't ordinarily throw into this dish, but you know, a poblano has some really, really great flavor. It adds that beautiful color as well. Just take the ribs out, and we're gonna do the same thing with the poblano that we've done with all of those other vegetables. So we have that nice, beautiful dice. Couple of nice red peppers. I'm just gonna cut those in rings. I want some parsley in here. Nice handful of coarsely chopped parsley. I love tarragon in this dish, and I'm just gonna take the leaves off of here, bruise them a little bit. Some beautiful tarragon from the garden. I'm just gonna pull these leaves off of this main stem. Get a nice little pile of tarragon leaves and just gently bruise them, smush them with my fingers a little bit, let them release all their oils, and then this pile of tarragon is gonna go right into my vegetable bowl. Now, over to the stove. Big pot. I'm gonna put some butter and flour in there, cook it together for a little while, make a very simple roux, and sweat my vegetables in it. Add my turkey, add my liquids, let that simmer, and while that's simmering, we'll make our dumplings. 3 tablespoons butter, 3 tablespoons flour. So you see the flour and butter is cooking together. We don't need to cook it together for very long, just a couple of minutes, just to get that raw flour taste out. And then we're gonna add that big bowl of veg. And that bowl of veg has the parsley, the tarragon, the 3 different peppers, the onions, the celery, the carrots, the dried thyme, those bell peppers, the black olives, and we're just gonna let that sweat for a couple of minutes, give it a stir. Oh yeah, remember the garlic's in there. And we'll just stir that, and when the onions get nice and glassy, we'll add our turkey, we'll start to add our liquids, let those simmer. Our peas and other seasonings will go in last, the stuff that we want to just briefly warm through. But this is gonna be excellent. And once I hear that sizzling, I know I've got my thermal momentum back in the pan after putting all those room temperature vegetables in. I've got it on medium heat. You know, Grandma's turkey a la king was not as colorful as this. My grandmother didn't think of those things when she was cooking, but I love this insane amount of color that we can bring into a dish like this with the different color carrots, the different color peppers, the black olives. Just love it. Secret ingredient: chicken bouillon powder. I use the powder, not the cubes. I just find it a lot easier. And there are a couple brands out there, they're all the same. It's got good chicken flavor and it's got some good MSG in there, which I really like. It does wonders in braises like this. And I use it like a dry seasoning. I put it in around this time, and you'll see in a minute, I'm putting in really good homemade broth and a cup of milk. And essentially this adds a little more chicken flavor into this, or poultry flavor into this dish, especially when I toast it with all of these seasonings instead of putting it into a liquid to rehydrate right away. Now, if I'm gonna serve this over noodles, I would take some fresh nutmeg and grate it in there right now. However, I'm serving this over Grandma's dumplings. So I'm actually gonna put the nutmeg into the dumplings, so I have that flavor in the bowl. Onions are glassy. Let's add 2 cups of homemade turkey broth. You can use chicken broth, whatever you like, but a nice poultry broth is absolutely ideal. I want this to come to a simmer and activate the flour that was in that roux. It'll get nice and creamy. So while that's coming to a simmer, I want to cut my herbs for my dumplings. Grandma did not put chives and dill into her dumplings, but I sure do. And I use a paper toweling wrapped around these to keep my chives tight. I don't have 3 hands. I need 1 hand here to hold this. I need 1 hand here to hold this. I need 1 hand to hold the knife. That's 3 hands, don't have them. So I wrap those in paper toweling, and that way I can make a couple of tablespoons thinly sliced chives. I've got this really nice dill. And that's definitely 3 tablespoons, not a 1/4 cup, and I'm gonna throw that in. Standard ratio for the dumplings: 6 eggs for every 2 cups of flour. I may add a little more flour, but the key here to beat your eggs, incorporate your herbs. We'll put salt, pepper, and nutmeg in there. And then using those 2 forks, add your flour. Don't use your fingers. We're making a batter, we're not making pasta. You want a sticky batter. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Let's add our nutmeg, some salt and pepper, let that sit for a couple minutes. Once that's simmering, Add a cup of milk, and we'll bring that to a simmer. This has reached a light, creamy gravy consistency. So now we'll put in all of our cut up turkey and let it cook for about 5 minutes. So here's the secret if you want to sort of make dumplings. 1 spoon and just keep dropping them into the boiling water. I have my boiling water right in front of me. I dip my spoon into the boiling water and I just scooch out some dumpling onto my spoon. And then I use my thumb and just kick it off. I'll show you what I mean. Dip that in. Scooch it off. Dip it in. Scooch it off. Dip it in. Scooch it off. The more I do this and the hotter my spoon gets, I literally don't even need to use my thumb anymore. It just falls off. I want to cook them for, I don't know, 60, 90 seconds once they all float. So we'll wait for them all to float, count to 60, and we'll eat. Now I always take my spoon and go down to the bottom and very carefully see if any dumplings have stuck there, because frequently they do. By the way, this is Grandma's dumpling. It is very, very firm. Remember, there's nothing to leaven anything in there. There's no baking soda. There's no baking powder. Pat of butter in a bowl. And just slowly but surely pull out all of your dumplings. It's one of my favorite things to make. Number one, it's super easy and really comforting, but they taste delicious. They remind me of my grandmother. And look how nice it is with all those herbs. But everyone thinks you worked really hard to make them. The dumplings in that butter. Look at that. So our turkey has been simmering for long enough so that my meat is heated through. And then the last thing that I want to do is taste for seasoning, add my peas, and give that a stir. Put some dumplings in a bowl. Place some of that beautiful turkey a la king on top of it. Add a little bit of that sauce. And then what I do, because I love some texture, is I put a few tablespoons of homemade breadcrumbs on top of each one. I love the flavor of the toast. A little bit of parsley on there because I can. I love the flavor of the toast in there, but I really, really, really love the texture. Why wait for Thanksgiving to make turkey a la king? But how does that turkey a la king and dumpling taste? Well, it has as much in common with the turkey a la king of the school lunch line or the canned or jarred stuff as my sitting on your desk makes me your laptop. It's meal in a bowl season, and I am so here for it.